SmplTrek MIDI sequencing is easy.
Freebie.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Freebeat, where I post new music-related content every single day, so if that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Today's patron shout-out goes to Sean Kearney. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. Just a little while ago, I made a video about using an external MIDI controller to control the samples within the SmplTrek. Today we're going to be flipping that around and using the SmplTrek to control and sequence an external synthesizer. As you can see, that external synthesizer that we're using today is the Arturia Microfreak. So let's go ahead and get these connections going. First of all, let's talk about these two. This is power to the Microfreak, just go into the wall. This is power to the SmplTrek, just go into the wall. Of course, we also don't need it because I do have 6 rechargeable AA batteries in there. We're also going to need a couple of cables today. Now, one of the cables we're going to need today is just a way to get the audio out of the Microfreak into the SmplTrek, because that's how I want to set things up. Technically, you don't have to do this if you have an external mixer. You can run them both into it. But for today, I want the SmplTrek to be the brain for everything. So I've just got this 1/4 inch cable right here because the Microfreak luckily has a 1/4 inch out. There we go. And I'm just going to run this into the L input on the back of the SmplTrek there. There we go. You're also going to want to make sure that your external source button down here is lit up so we can hear the audio. And I've also pulled up just an initialized preset here on the Microfreak, so yep, we can make sure our sound is coming through into the SmplTrek here. Nice. By the way, to change your input, you can hold function and go to rec source, and from there on the SmplTrek, you can actually select the single line in, or if you've got a stereo instrument coming in, you can select both of them, or USB. This is where you pick your sources. So the audio is connected. Now let's do MIDI. I've just got a normal 5-pin MIDI cable here, and I've also plugged in one of the 5-pin to 3.5 millimeter converters that the Microfreak comes with, so we can use it with this normal 5-pin cable. Let's go ahead and plug this end into the MIDI input of the Microfreak. And let's plug this in, the 5-pin, and into the MIDI out of the SmplTrek, okay? Now, let's go ahead and make a MIDI track. So, just like with loops and one-shots and instruments and drum kits, MIDI is just another track type on the SmplTrek. So if we go to track 1, press OK, we can select MIDI from our options here. There we go. And before we go into that track and take a look at controlling the freak, let's actually hold function and press system. We're going to go to MIDI, and we are going to click OK. If you go into track, you can see that track 1 is set to MIDI channel 1, track 2 is set to track 2, and so forth. Go out of there. Channel, we can see some more channel settings there. If we go into config, we can actually tell the SmplTrek how to send and receive MIDI from which ports. I'm just going to leave both of those at USB and MIDI. We want to turn TX note on, though, down there. And let's turn on TX CC too. So now that we're back home, let's go into track 1. The first scene is fine. And we can play the Microfreak with the SmplTrek. Which is very cool. We can turn on paraphonic mode. We can hear it works just fine, as does sequencing, which is great. So let's go ahead and sequence something here. Let's just do a little bass line. I'm going to go down 2 octaves, jump all the way down here. I'm just going to sequence using the grid and the buttons. Just going with a little 16th note run here. Since I don't need paraphonic, though, I'm going to turn it off, and let's hit play and have a listen. Cool. That's basically it. It really is that easy. Now, because the audio is going through the SmplTrek, we can actually pull up the mixer and go down to external audio. There it is. And send it to, like, the reverb. We can pan it. Which is really nice. Let's talk about MIDI CCs now, because you can also do that on the SmplTrek. So if we go home, and then if we go to the left here and select our actual MIDI track, or hold function and press track 1, we can get to the MIDI CCs setup. As you can see here, each of the 4 knobs have their own parameter they can control. So now you're going to need to get your MIDI CC implementation chart for whatever synth you are controlling. I happen to know that the Microfreaks cutoff is set to MIDI CC 23. So let's go ahead and set that to 23 there on knob A. Now I can go into my MIDI clip and press this button right here to bring up the automation, and I can actually go ahead and per step sequence MIDI CC 23, which, like I said, is the filter cutoff. Let's have a listen. You can hear those 4 steps being affected by the CC control. So really, really cool. You can sequence those right in there. And this is per MIDI track as well, so you can do this on many different MIDI instruments if you've got the proper chain set up. Yeah, just like that. It's another track on the SmplTrek here. We can go in. Let's grab a sample here. I don't know, some kind of kick drum maybe. Sure, load in a kick drum. Let's go ahead and sequence that. That kick drum's a little loud. Go into the mixer. That's on track 2. Bring it down a bit. Yeah, cool. As you can see, MIDI sequencing on the SmplTrek is pretty easy. And it's also super simple to set up CCs. I love that it's just right there on the controls for track 1. You can very easily get to each one, set the number with the corresponding knob. And since we're just on the SmplTrek Arranger, you know, we can go in here. Let's get a one-shot track. Let's grab, how about a pop snare? Sure, go ahead and put that in there. Now, if we don't set the track here to sequence, we can actually just trigger it live. But tracks 1 and 2, of course, track 2 being the kick drum, track 1 being the Microfreak sequence, are set to trigger. So we can just do this. That was weird. I couldn't turn off paraphonic mode there on the Microfreak. Little glitch, I guess. Of course, this is nothing groundbreaking for groove boxes. There are a ton of groove boxes that can do this. However, in this form factor and portability, it is quite rare, I think. Of course, there are a few that can do it, like the circuit tracks, but that is such an entirely different workflow. It's really not even worth comparing to this. You just have to know what you're after in a device. I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.